Good morning, CSL. We're so glad you're with us today. Looks like summer is really on its way this time. Spring's done. We got a special treat for you today. We have multiple guest singers today. So Rex Miller will be singing a song later. My name's Phil Bowden. I'll sing one for you. Mr. Ed Kuklinski is going to be singing one for us. And right now we have Ted McClurg. So give him a big hand, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just try your best. Try everything you can. And don't you worry what they tell themselves when you're away. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey, you know they're all the same. You know they're doing better on your own. Don't buy in. Live right now. You just be yourself. It doesn't matter what they're good enough for someone else. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just do your best. Do everything you can. And don't you worry what the bitter hearts gonna say. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It's gonna be alright.
McClurg, everyone. Woo-hoo. It's going to be all right.
We have multi-talented musicians. Not only can they play, they can sing. I bet you can even dance. Woohoo! So welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living this morning in beautiful Boise, Idaho, where it has decided that it is now summer. Yes, sir. It's supposed to be, 90-something today, 103 tomorrow. So get ready. Get your shorts out. Something. So this morning, we have our beautiful house band, directed by Rex Miller, yes, with Phil Bowden on drums, keeping the beat. And I just blanked out your name. Ted McClurg. I know, it's so sad, the hierarchy. And we also have a special treat. Ed Kuklinski is going to be singing for us today. So it's a special, special day today. I also want to thank all the people who are helping out with the service today. Janine and Harold were out at front greeting people and making sure you feel welcome here. Our board member of the day is Dave Shirtliff. I'm looking for him. I'm sorry. That's what I was told. Shelley Butler was our cosmic cleaner, making sure that everything was nice and clean for you today. And Elizabeth Edwards is in Children's Church. Yes. Okay. So now if we want to just take a few moments, take a deep breath, as we prepare our minds and our hearts for the spiritual practices that will be brought to us. Just take a nice deep breath. As lovely Loretta Hughes comes forward.
Good morning. It is my honor to introduce Dave Knowles, who will light the world religion's candles from the Christ candle. In religious science, we perform this ceremony to acknowledge that all people and all faiths come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. In lighting these candles, we honor the one family of humanity, made up of over 4,000 religions and spiritual traditions throughout the world. We light the first candle for Buddhism. The fundamental goal of Buddhism is peace, inner and outer. First, we must understand the cause of peace. Then we can direct our thoughts. We light this candle for our peaceful thoughts and peaceful hearts. We light the second candle for Hinduism. Gandhi defined the Hindu creed simply as the search after truth through nonviolent means. We light this candle to light the way for nonviolence. We light the third candle for Judaism. The Hebrew shalom literally means peace, but also means completeness, wholeness, health, perfection, prosperity, and harmony. We light the candle for the spirit of shalom. We light the fourth candle for Christianity. In Matthew, the peace prayer begins, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be known as the children of God." We are the children of God. We are the peacemakers. We light the candle for all peacemakers. The fifth and final candle honors new thought. We teach that the peace of God is at the center of beings. We grow conscious of the peace, enter into peace, are surrounded by peace, and it claims the troubled waters of experience. We light the candle for the peace within. Let us quiet our minds and open our hearts to the spiritual message being sung by Ed Kuklinski.
Just to stay between the shores. I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Like a bird upon the wind, the waters on my sky. I will try, so I will sail my vessel till the river There's bound to be rough waters, and I know I'll take some falls, but with God as my captain, I will make it through it all. Well, yes, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Runs dry.
So let us pray by turning within and feeling into the beautiful presence, the power, the perfect life, the perfect love that is everywhere all the time in all things. And right here inside of me, I know that love truly is all that there is. It fills every thought I think, every word I speak, every feeling and action I take. And I know what is true for me is true for each and every one of us in this sacred sanctuary, pouring forth infinite love and gratitude to all of those who have come before in this sacred sanctuary to create this beautiful space of divine love. And I especially speak my word for Joe Hughes, knowing that God in Joe is the one who speaketh the word through her beautiful talk today, knowing that the presence and power of love is felt palpably. So gratitude is filling each heart as these words are released into the law of mind. And together we say namaste,
Namaste.
om,
Om.
shanti,
Shanti.
aho,
Aho.
and so it is.
And so it is. Amen.
Didn't Ed do a great job, everyone? It's my turn now. When the time's to give ball.
When the time is right,
When the time is right,
when the time is right now,
when the time is right,
when the time is right,
when the time is right,
when the time is right now. You don't have to worry, you don't need to cry, you don't have to struggle, baby, you don't really even need to try. The very same dream that brought you into this light, show you why you're here when the time is right. When the time is is right. When the time is right. Everything will unfold to reveal the light. Find this dream, your heart's pure delight. Just like magic will appear when the time is right.
When the time is right.
When the time is right now.
When the time is right.
You try to use your will to change the world. You go to battle, war your dreams with your flag unfurled. You're thinking you're separate from a grand design. Well, you may be surprised when the time is right. When the time is right.
When the time is right.
When the time is right.
When the time is right.
Everything will unfold to reveal the light. Fondest dreams, your heart's pure delight. Just like magic will appear when the time is right.
When the time is right.
The lazy man once told me there's not much you need to do. The secret of the secret is it's not really all about you. It's all about the loving. It's all about delight. We will know we're all family when the time is right. Lazy man once told me there's not much you need to do. The secret of the secret is not really all about you. It's all about the loving. It's all about delight. And we will know we're all family when the time is right. When the time is right.
When the time is right.
When the time is right.
When the time is right.
Everything will unfold to reveal the light. Fondest dreams, no pure delight. Just like magic will appear when the time is right.
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 Yeah, the time is right.
When the time is right.
When the time is right. When the time is right.
When the time is right.
Thank you.
We get to see people in different roles. It's so fun. And I want you to know, I made my my decision about what I was going to talk about today several weeks ago. It was something I really wanted to talk about. I'm talking about making good choices, and and here we are. So the title of my talk comes from a line from one of my favorite movies. I love movies. Anyone who knows me, I have a huge collection of movies, which I love to watch over and over again. My husband thinks I'm crazy. He just reads. He says, oh, okay. But the line came from Freaky Friday, which was remade a few years back with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. I don't know if anyone has seen that particular movie or that version of that movie, but it's a story about a mother and daughter. The daughter, of course, is a teenager who is driving her mother crazy, and they go to this Chinese restaurant, and this little Chinese woman sees them arguing with each other, and she puts a magic spell on them. And when they wake up the next morning, the mom is in the daughter's body, and the daughter is in the mom's body. Woo! And through that process of being in each other's space and learning about what really was going on in each other's lives, they had a whole different perspective, and it really improved their relationship. It's a wonderful movie, especially if you have teenage daughters, just saying. So, however, I want to say on a more serious note that although I chose this topic weeks ago, I feel it is even more relevant given the decision passed down this Friday by the Supreme Court. And I would like for just a moment to pause for a moment of silence in recognition of the loss of human rights for women in this country. And so if you would join me by closing your eyes if you're comfortable. Take a deep breath. And just recognizing that one powerful spirit that is in all. It moves around us and through us. And knowing that that same spirit is within us, and that as we gather our thoughts and feel our grief or anger, whatever you're feeling, it's okay. You may not agree with my opinion, and that's okay. However, just feel what you feel. And now, take another deep breath. And release it. Release that feeling. Knowing that God is and always will be. Okay. Thank you. So when we talk about choice, and I think it's interesting because I've heard all the songs that are being done today, and they all seem to be supporting what I'm talking about. It's cool. We didn't talk about it. They didn't even know that I was speaking, so they had no way of knowing what songs to choose. The songs support the idea of choice. Choice is a central concept in religious science. Ernest Holmes says, we cannot lead a choiceless life. Every day, every moment, every second, there is choice. If it were not so, we would not be individuals. Even the Christian faith, for those of you who have come from that background, is based on an individual acceptance of the gift of salvation, a choice in taking the path of God versus the way of the world. Popular self-help books and gurus are all based loosely on some form of choice, defined as an act of selecting or making a decision when facing two or more possibilities. So, as I was preparing for this, I Googled books, including choice, and here are a few of the titles I ran across. Choices: when you're faced with a challenge, what choice will you make? Everything is a choice. And Smart Choices: a practical guide for making better decisions. I think, perhaps I need to check all of these out and read them all. But there is one book that stood out to me because when it came out in 1991, I was in the throes of motherhood. My children at the time were 11, 9, 6, and 3. I was working as a full-time labor and delivery nurse, and I had just started working on completing my Bachelor's of Science in nursing. Makes me tired, just saying that. My kids now, they're like, "Mom, how did you do that?" I don't know. Anyway, it's all a blur. I remember seeing the title of the book and thinking, okay, one more thing to feel guilty about. If I'm not happy, it's just because I made the wrong choice. How frustrating. I was also at that time a Christian wife and mother who had been struggling with my faith versus what my heart wanted. I had been made to believe that by choosing to work outside the home, I was somehow less than my Christian stay-at-home moms, friends. While I defended my decision to work as an economic decision, and it truly was. We needed money. Deep down, I knew that I loved my job, profession, what I felt was a call for service from God. How could that be wrong? So long story short, I never read the book. Fast forward to 2002, I was now certified nurse midwife, having obtained a Master of Science in nursing. I had left the Christian faith, or rather was not attending anymore. I was divorced. I often joke that he got the church and I got the debts and the kids. Of course, by this time, the two older kids were 22 and 20, but I still had two high school girls, aged 17 and 14. And for those of you who have had high school girls, you know what that means. Painful. I was missing church. That had always been a tradition for me to go, a spiritual source of comfort and support in the past. When a friend invited me to her, she said, I go to this kind of different kind of church. Now, I didn't know what to think when she said it that way. She said, it's not really like a church like you're used to. Now, she was an ex-Catholic who was clearly uncomfortable equating a religious science center with church. But I went because, I felt, why not? I'll give this a try. This was a life-changing experience for me. I cried through that first service, and for many after, as I felt the love that I knew was God enveloping me in this small group of people. I began taking classes soon after to discover what the church believed, their articles of faith, as it were. And soon I began to see clearly a new way, a new path. Choice is central to the third core concept of science of mind, the creative process or creative nature. God thinks, and the world comes into being. All human accomplishments originate in thought, hence, change your thinking, change your life, which sounds overly simplistic. However, Ernest Holmes was known to say, it sounds simple, but it's not easy. It is a very simple concept, but it is not an easy concept to bring forth in your life. As I was looking around at different books on this subject, I found this book. It's called The Art of Possibility, and it's written by a husband and wife, Rosamund and Benjamin Zander. And I felt like this story was a perfect example of what we're talking about in terms of choice and what happens when we change our mind about something. This is called a monk story. A monastery had fallen on hard times. It was once part of a great order, which, as a result of religious persecution in the 17th and 18th centuries, had lost all its branches. It was decimated to the extent that there were only 5 monks left at the mother house. The abbot and 4 others, all of whom were over the age of 70. Clearly, it was a dying order. Deep in the woods surrounding the monastery was a little hut that the rabbi from a nearby town occasionally used for a hermitage. One day, it occurred to the abbot to visit the hermitage to see if the rabbi could offer any advice that might save the monastery. The rabbi welcomed the abbot and commiserated. "I know how it is," he said. "The spirit has gone out of people. Almost no one comes to the synagogue anymore." So the old rabbi and the old abbot wept together, and they read parts of the Torah and spoke quietly of deep things. The time came when the abbot had to leave. They embraced. "It has been wonderful being with you," said the abbot, "but I have failed in my purpose for coming. Have you no piece of advice to give? The only thing I can tell you..." "Have you no piece of advice that may save the monastery?" "No, I'm sorry," the rabbi responded. "I have no advice to give. The only thing I can tell you is that the Messiah is one of you." When the other monks heard the rabbi's words, they wondered what possible significance they might have. The Messiah is one of us? One of us here at the monastery? Do you suppose he meant the abbot? He's been here for so long, he's been our leader. Or, on the other hand, it might be Brother Thomas, who is undoubtedly a holy man. Certainly, he couldn't have met Brother Elrod. He's so crotchety. But Elrod was very wise. Surely he could not have met Brother Philip. He's too passive. But then, magically, he's always there when you need him. Of course, he didn't mean me. Yet, supposing he did. Oh, Lord, not me. I couldn't mean that much to you, could I? As they contemplated this matter, the old monks began to treat each other with extraordinary respect, on the off chance that one of them might be the Messiah, and on the off chance that each monk himself might be the Messiah. They began to treat themselves with extraordinary respect. Because the forest in which it was situated was beautiful, people occasionally came to visit the monastery to picnic or wander along the old paths, most of which led to the dilapidated chapel. They sensed the aura of extraordinary respect that surrounded the 5 old monks, permeating the atmosphere. They began to come more frequently, bringing their friends, and their friends brought friends, and some of the younger men who came to visit began to engage in conversation with the monks. After a while, one asked if he might join. Then another, and another. Within a few years, the monastery became once again a thriving order, and thanks to the rabbi's gift, a vibrant, authentic community of light and love for the whole realm. So you see, it began with a thought, a choice of changing their thinking from that of despair and failure to one of anticipation and expectation. And it was reflected not only in how they treated each other, but also in how they treated themselves. But where does this leave us when faced with challenges that seem bigger than we are, over which it feels like we have little control? Well, this is where we learn about the hard part of changing our thinking. Because ultimately, there are many things that are outside our individual control. In his book, Happiness is a Choice, by Barry Kaufman, he states, "The way we choose to see the world creates the world we see." Let that sink in. I can choose to see the world as a hostile place with people who are determined to steal my happiness, way of life, fill in the blank. And that is what I will experience. Or I can choose to see the world as a friendly place with people who are good. It may seem silly, even Pollyanna-esque. I'm putting on my rose-colored glasses and I'm pretending like everything's great. But in the end, what or who does it hurt to think in this way? Kaufman also says, though we might not determine all the events around us, we are omnipotent in determining our reaction to them. Kaufman was a man who did not exactly have a perfect life. He had a child who was born severely disabled, diagnosed as autistic, and unlikely to ever be capable of a normal life. He and his wife had 2 daughters at the time his son was born, and was advised by many professionals, doctors, psychologists. The best thing they could do for his family was to place his son in a care institution where he would receive physical care but no actual treatment for his condition because it was felt to be hopeless. He had a choice. He could accept the professional's advice and perhaps spend the rest of his life wondering why he had been given this defective child. But he had already done some personal work prior to the birth of this child. He and his wife were already practicing to view things in love, to view things as good, to take the more positive choice in life when offered. He describes how he and his wife made the conscious choice to reaffirm the happier, non-judgmental life perspective we had adopted which enabled us now to embrace our very unusual child in awe and appreciation. He calls this, in his book, living the dream. To no longer simply believe in what is, but to start to believe in what you want. And I just want to interject in there. I think the key word in that is belief. You can't be just wishful thinking, this is what I want. Yeah, that's what I want. No, you have to actually embrace it and believe it deep within your heart that this is actually something that can happen for you in order for this to work. This is the key, I believe, to choice. At the end of his book, Kaufman offers shortcuts to happiness, and I'm going to summarize this part of the book to give you some food for thought today. And I also want to challenge you to think about happiness, not just that kind of superficial, isn't it a great day today? I got just what I wanted in the mail. I want you to think of happiness as more deeply rooted and more that deep sense of joy that comes from the divine. So the number one shortcut is to make happiness the priority. In other words, don't wait for external events to materialize so we can be happy. Make the conscious decision to enjoy the present moment, regardless of external circumstances. Number two is personal authenticity. Be yourself. Trust yourself. Let happiness be part of who you are, not an act. And love yourself as you are. That's a very important one, I think. Number three, letting go of judgments. Embrace people and situations more openly. Find the elements within any given situation that might serve to teach us. Adopt an accepting attitude. And that is a real hard one for most of us because we develop judgments as a protective mechanism, really, to keep us safe, we think. That we're going to, if we make the right judgment and we choose the right people to put in our lives and this and that and the other thing, that we'll be safe, that we'll be prosperous, whatever that is. However, when you let go of that and you just allow those people to be who they are, it becomes a very freeing practice. Being present is number 4. Let go of the past and the future and participate fully in each present moment. Again, such deep thoughts in each of these little tiny nuggets that he gives us. Number 5 is being grateful. And he describes being grateful as the sweetest way to embrace happiness. Become more aware of the many things in which we are blessed, even by the simplest things. And we've all heard this. You get up in the morning, you're in a bed with under your shelter of your home, and you have water to drink, and you have food in your refrigerator. These are all blessings to be thankful for that we often take just for granted, that it's going to be so. And yet we know that there are many people for whom this is not the case. And finally, this number 6 shortcut is deciding. Decide to be happy. We don't need a reason. We can decide to be happy just because it feels good. It's pleasant. And why not? Would you rather feel miserable? Would you rather feel angry? Would you rather feel whatever? Or would you like to have the lightness of heart that comes to you when you say, I think I'm going to be happy today. It's going to be a good day. Yeah. So, choice. Living in choice. Being conscious of choice. and making good choices for our lives, even in the midst of chaos, especially in the midst of chaos. This is our challenge. To circle back to the events taking place in our country right now, I believe that we must choose each day to first connect with Spirit, to center yourself in the knowledge and the love that is God. When I was working, I retired right at the beginning of the pandemic, and one of the things that I lost was that when I was working, I used to sit in my car before I went into my office. I would read a meditation by Ernest Holmes, and then I would quietly say an affirmative prayer for my day. When I did that, my days were not necessarily all perfect, but I felt that reservoir that you need when challenges come up. I felt it. I felt, okay, I can deal with this. I got this. It's all good. We're going to be fine. Even if we are an hour late and everybody's getting mad out in the waiting room. Mm-hmm. When I stopped working, ironically, I stopped doing that for a while. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Part of it was just my upsetness over the way my time at work ended. And part of it was some grief, because even though I had planned to retire, I hadn't quite planned to retire when they retired me. And I had some really, to me, unexpected grief, because I just really thought I was ready. I thought it was going to be okay. But I was grieving. And so I wasn't doing this practice. And boy, did it make a difference in my life. And it wasn't a good difference. Not a difference that I would recommend. And honestly, once I got back into that habit, it has made my life much kinder and gentler on myself, actually. Because really, we do need to always take that moment, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, to connect ourselves. Our source isn't outside, but sometimes we forget. We forget about that source that we have within us. And we get all wrapped up in what we're going to do to take care of our life and whatever choices are out there for us. But when we remember that source within, when we take that moment or those moments to center within, your whole perspective on everything changes. And it takes practice, and it takes maybe getting up a little bit early or whatever, but it is totally worth it. So next, after you've taken this moment, this time with Spirit, you've reconnected, read a meditation, do a spiritual practice that you find fulfilling, anything that brings you closer to your source. Next, choose to view all that is outside of you as an opportunity. Okay? We can do little from a place of despair. You can stand there and wring your hands and, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's so terrible. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Yeah, that's not going to get you very far. But we know that we are given the power to change our lives by viewing circumstances from a place of power. We are not victims. We have a connection with Spirit that gives us the power to shape what is going to happen in our lives. Remember the monks. They thought they were near the end. But as they began to view themselves and each other as possible messiahs, they began to attract new growth and were able to thrive. We can save ourselves. Finally, remember gratitude. It just is so important. We are rich beyond imagining, and it has nothing to do with where you live, what you're wearing, how much money you have in the bank. None of that. We are rich because we are imbued with Spirit, and nothing can take that away from you. Thank you. Nothing. Thank you. Thank you. So let's just take a moment now. Is Rex here? Did he go? Okay, thank you. Let's take a moment now and once again, let's turn within. Oh, breathing in that beautiful air, filling our lungs, knowing that it's all God. We are in a sea of God, completely surrounded. There is nothing that is not God. And so in that space, in that beautiful space, knowing that that same Spirit, known by many, many names and followed by many traditions, that same Spirit is within each and every one of us, moving through us. Each of us an individualized expression of the one Spirit, Creator, whatever you would like to call it. And knowing that unity, that God is not out there, God is within, and that we are able to connect with that, in that unity, let us affirm the truth for each of us. Let us know and affirm that all is good and we are moving towards more goodness. No matter what the external circumstances seem to indicate, it is God, and God is there, and it will all work out. Also, again, remembering all of those being affected by war, disease, all the things that the news tells us about that makes us feel a little anxious, a little worried about what's going to happen next. Just know with me that divine right action is occurring, that there will be goodness. Goodness will overcome. That peace will come as we open our hearts and our minds and visualize and accept peace for this world, for each of us individually as well. And finally, just speaking a word of gratitude. Gratitude for all that is good and right in the world, for all the good people that we rarely hear about. And knowing that my words have been true today, and that as I spoke the word, even now the law is working to bring these changes about, and that we are blessed and very blessed. And so I release my word into the law, knowing it is done, and so it is. I have some announcements. One is there will be a very brief meeting in the kitchen with JJ. She would like to speak with those of you who have indicated an interest in helping with hospitality. She promises it will be a short meeting. You'll be able to get on to whatever it is you got planned for this afternoon, but please do join JJ in the kitchen if you're interested in helping out with hospitality. And there is a meeting on Wednesday evening at the Hillview Methodist Church. It's a service for those who might be feeling grieving and whatever feelings you have regarding the decision handed down by the Supreme Court, for those of you who are pro-choice and feeling a little adrift in the world right now. This will occur at 7 p.m., and the church is on Ustick. Okay. So, and Reverend Jackie will be there participating, so if you're interested. If you would like to receive information about what's going on here in the center, what kind of events we have coming up, that kind of thing, and you haven't been getting our e-blast, you can fill out one of these connection cards. They're in the backs of the seats, and just fill those out, and we will be happy to get you on the list so that you can start getting our e-blast. It's very informational, and every week we have a prayer of the week, and that's always a little uplifting too. We also have in those seat backs prayer requests, and these, if you would like to have the prayer ministry here pray with you over any concerns, anything going on in your life that you would really like to have prayer about, fill out one of these prayer requests. You can put it in the offering basket as it comes by, or you can put it in the little box back in the foyer if you haven't gotten it filled out in time. Loretta will also be in the prayer room to do prayers if anybody here would like to have prayer after service. She will be available. It's down this west hallway at the end of the hall. So please take advantage of that. And the last thing that I'm going to say here is we have made it so easy for you to give to this church. And we believe in this church in the law of circulation, which says that whatever you give returns back and blesses you even more and more. So this is a way of increasing your blessings. And there are little pamphlets like this. If they're not in the seat back, there's some out in the lobby. If you have questions, we take money. We take checks, we take online gifts, and we even have a tithing by text option in here. So we welcome your gifts. This is a totally volunteer church. We don't have we have one paid staff minister, and she's the only paid individual. Everybody else is volunteering, but we still need money for keeping the lights on and the air conditioning on and the heat in the winter and, you know, all that stuff. So this is our conscious giving time. If you would like to take your gift, we'll be passing it around the basket here in just a minute. And just for a moment here, repeat with me. Divine love.
Divine love
Blesses and multiplies. Everything I give.
everything I give,
And all that I circulate.
and all that I circulate.
Amen.
Amen.
So it is.
Sorry, I forgot a few of the words.
All right, so here we got Rex Miller going to give us a song and words to live by here.
Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go. But you know what you gotta do. Change your thinking, it'll change everything for you. Don't like what you see, change what you believe. Don't like what you hear, get rid of the fear. Don't like what you know, then say it ain't so. Don't like what you bet, then don't go there again. You know what you gotta do. Change your thinking, it'll change everything for you. Crazy, say I'm out of my mind, but I see miracles all the time. Do anything that you want to do, it's all a choice, it's all up to you. And don't you know what you gotta do. Change your thinking, it'll change everything for you. You know what you gotta do.
You gotta pray.
You know what you gotta do.
Meditate.
You know what you gotta do.
About some good thoughts.
You know what you gotta
Love,
do.
laugh.
Change your thinking, it'll change everything for you.
Yay, thank you. And choose only love, because that is who and what you are. Have a beautiful week.
1, 2, 3.